If you have started looking into Singapore business grants, you have probably also started seeing the adverts, consultants, and agencies promising to handle your whole applications, sometimes with eye-catching claims about approval rates. So here is the honest question this video answers. Do you actually need a grant consultant to apply, or can you do it yourself? The real answer is that it depends, and by the end you will know how to decide, how to spot a good consultant from a risky one, and what a legitimate one actually does for the fee. One important note before we go further, and it matters especially for this topic. This channel is educational only. We are not a government agency, we are not affiliated with or endorsed by Go Business, Enterprise Singapore, or any government body. And just as importantly, we are not a grant consultant or agency ourselves. We do not handle applications for you, we cannot secure or guarantee any grant, and nothing here is official or professional advice. Rules differ by scheme and change over time, so always confirm the current position on the official source, gobusiness.gov.sg, before you act. What a grant consultant does. Let us start with what a legitimate grant consultant genuinely does, because there is real honest value in the good ones. A capable consultant helps in three main ways. First, scoping. They sit with you, understand your business, and help translate a vague ambition into a specific project that matches what a scheme is actually designed to fund, which is harder than it sounds when you are new to it. Second, writing. They help you articulate the project clearly, structure the justification, and present the costs and outcomes in the language an assessor expects, so your application reads as considered rather than rushed. Third, project management. They can keep the moving parts on track, the quotes, the documents, the deadlines, the claim after the work is done, so nothing slips through the cracks while you are busy running your business. For an owner who is time poor, applying for a large or complex grant for the first time, that structure and experience can be worth paying for. A good consultant is essentially selling you clarity, time saved, and a lower chance of an avoidable mistake. That is a legitimate service, and there is nothing wrong with buying it if the numbers make sense. You can apply yourself. Now the part the adverts rarely emphasize. You are completely allowed to apply yourself. Singapore's grant portals are built for business owners to use directly. Many schemes are applied for through the Business Grants portal on gobusiness.gov.sg. You log in with your company's Corp Pass and you fill in the application yourself. There is no rule that an application must go through a consultant, and using one gives you no special status or inside track with the agency, whatever anyone implies. For simpler, smaller, or more standardized grants, plenty of owners apply successfully on their own, especially once they have gathered the same documents we cover on this channel: a valid Corp Pass, current ACRI details, financial statements, proper quotations, and a clear project plan. The application is a form that asks sensible questions about the project you already understand better than anyone. So before you assume you need to pay someone, it is worth reading the official scheme page and the application itself, because you may well find it is more approachable than the marketing around it suggests. Doing it yourself also means you understand your own project deeply, which helps if the agency comes back with questions. Red flags to watch for. Now, the important part, the red flags, because this is a space where a minority of operators prey on hopeful owners. Be very wary of anyone who guarantees approval. Nobody can guarantee a grant because the decision sits with the agency, not with any consultant, and a guarantee is either ignorance or a lie. Be wary of claims of special insider access, a private line to officials, or the ability to fast-track you, none of which is how these schemes work. Be extremely cautious of anyone who pressures you to inflate your project costs, invent scope, or word things to claim more than the project truly needs, because that is not clever positioning, it is misrepresentation, and you are the one who signs the declaration and carries the liability. Watch for aggressive success fee structures that reward the consultant for pushing your costs as high as possible, since that incentive is not aligned with your interests or with an honest application. And be careful of anyone who asks you to sign a blank or inaccurate declaration, or to let them submit things you have not seen. A trustworthy consultant makes your true project look its best. A dangerous one makes up a project that is not real. Learn to tell the difference because your company name is on the applications. A simple cost and benefit. So how do you decide rationally without the pressure? Run a simple cost and benefit. On the cost side is the fee, whether that is fixed or a percentage of what you receive, and be honest about how a success fee changes the incentives. On the benefit side is the value of your time saved, the reduced chance of a costly mistake, and the genuine expertise on a complex project you would struggle to scope alone. Then weigh them against the size and difficulty of the grant. For a small, standardized grant with a modest support amount, paying a hefty fee may eat so much of the benefit that doing it yourself clearly wins. For a large, complex, custom project where the stakes and the paperwork are both high, a good consultant's fee may be very reasonable against the value at risk if the application is done poorly. There is no universal answer, only your numbers. Write down the fee, write down what you realistically gain, and let the comparison, not the sales pitch, make the call. And remember that whatever you decide, the responsibility for what the application says always remains yours. Questions to ask first. If you do decide to explore hiring someone, go in with questions that separate the professionals from the risky. Ask exactly what is included in the fee and what is not, so there are no surprises later. Ask how they charge, fixed fee or success fee, and if it is a success fee, ask how they avoid the temptation to inflate your costs. Ask them to be specific about which scheme they think fits and why, and be cautious if they cannot explain it in plain terms. Ask who actually writes and submits the application, and insist that you review everything before it goes in because your declaration is your responsibility. Ask what happens if the application is unsuccessful, and listen carefully to how they talk about approval. If the language drifts towards guarantees, insider access, or bending the truth, walk away. A good consultant will welcome these questions and answer them plainly. Someone who gets evasive or defensive when you ask basic, reasonable things is telling you what working with them would be like. We are not a consultant. Let us be completely clear about our own role because it would be easy to misread a channel like this. We are not a grant consultant and we are not an agency. We do not apply for grants on your behalf. We do not review or submit your application, and we do not take a fee tied to your outcome. We cannot secure, guarantee, or approve any grant for you, and we have no special relationship with any government body. What we do is simple and limited. We explain how these schemes generally work in plain English so you can make informed decisions, whether that means applying yourself with confidence or hiring a consultant with your eyes open. If you take one thing from this section, let it be that anyone, including us, who is not the assessing agency, cannot decide your applications. So use this channel to get oriented and then go to the official source for the rules that actually bind, because that is the only place the real requirements live. About a consultant, the same principle applies for verifying the facts. Start on the official channel rather than a consultant's brochure or an old blog post, because the schemes, the eligibility, and the process are set officially and change over time. The Business Grants portal on gobusiness.gov.sg is where many grants are applied for, and the relevant agency pages, such as Enterprise Singapore, explain the individual schemes. Read the official page for the scheme you have in mind before you pay anyone, so you understand the project you are actually applying for and can judge whether a consultant is adding real value or simply charging you for something you could do yourself. If a consultant's description of a scheme does not match what the official page says, trust the official page. Verifying on the official source protects you twice over. It keeps your application accurate, and it stops you paying for claims that do not hold up. Quick recap. Let us pull it together. You do not need a consultant to apply for a Singapore grant. You are free to apply yourself through the official portal with your code pass and your documents in order. A legitimate consultant can genuinely help with scoping, writing, and project management, and for a large or complex grant, that value can be well worth the fee. But run a simple cost and benefit against the size of the grant and watch hard for red flags, guaranteed approval, insider access, pressure to inflate costs, or any request to misrepresent your project, because you signed the declaration and you carry the risk. Ask sharp questions before you hire anyone. And remember that we are not a consultant, we do not handle applications, and we cannot secure or guarantee any grant. Because the schemes and rules are set officially and change over time, The live details always come from gobusiness.gov.sg and the relevant agency pages, never from a sales pitch. A closing reminder, remember the spirit of this channel. Our job is to help you make a clear-headed decision about how to approach a grant, so you neither overpay for help you do not need, nor stumble through a complex application you would have been wiser to get support with. But the official sources always have the final word. Nothing here is professional advice or a recommendation of any particular consultant. We are not affiliated with any agency, and we cannot approve, secure, or guarantee any grant for you. When you are ready, read the official page for your scheme on gobusiness.gov.sg. Decide honestly whether you need help, and if you hire someone, insist on accuracy and review everything with your own eyes before it is submitted. If this helped you see the consultant question clearly, subscribe for more plain English Singapore grant explainers, and we will keep turning these schemes into plain English, one honest answer at a time.